Is it really true that now we have a vaccine for honeybees? Are all of our problems over because we can get a vaccinated queen? Hey everybody, David Burns, good to be with you again. You have been pounding me with more and more questions about the vaccine that you're hearing more and more about. So today we're going to jump right into it and talk about the possibility that this vaccine may solve all of our problems. First of all, no, it's not going to solve all of our problems. I think it's great that we're making some kind of steps scientifically on trying to find ways to keep bees healthier. Don't get me wrong. But this actual vaccine is actually called Paenobacillus larvae bacterium. And it's introduced into the food of sugar water that you feed to queens. And I think you can buy it from the company and actually make your own queens with it. But you can buy a vaccinated queen, which is what a lot of you are asking. And when you get the vaccinated queen, here's how it works. Once the queen ingests the bacterium, it's a dead version of Paenobacillus larvae, American foul brood. But once it gets into the queen, now when she lays her eggs, it gets transferred into the next generation, but only, this is important, only that next generation. It's not going to be, like if you lose your queen, it's over, right? It's just her daughters. And so that it's only that transgenerational, and it's only priming the immune system of her daughters. And that's why it's priming the immune system. And it just happens to sweep in American foul brood to help them not get it. But if you lose that queen, it's over. It doesn't get passed on through the worker bees themselves onto the next queen. You have to keep buying a new queen that already has this transgenerational immune primer to it. Technically, a lot of people think this really isn't a true vaccine in the traditional sense of the word. Rather, it is a transgenerational immune primal. So what this does, it actually builds up the bees' overall immune. And so as a result, it does build up their immune system toward American foul brood. Now, how effective is it? The studies show that it's between 30 and 50% effective against Paenobacillus larvae, which is it's the word for American foul brood. So it could cut your chances down or help the bees fight against American foul brood by 30 to 50%. Now, I have been to a lot of meetings and I've been on panels where people will ask the panel that question. So I've been able to hear other people smarter than me, which is a lot of people actually. Makes up a big crowd. But anyway, I've heard them say what they think about it. Very smart PhD entomologists talking about this. And some of them are really for it. And some of them are like, yeah, And I think the ones that aren't really crazy about it is because they feel that American foul brood for like the backyard beekeeper isn't a huge problem, but for a lot of commercial beekeepers, it's not a huge problem. It's not a huge problem until it is a huge problem. And then when it is a huge problem, then you're going to have a big problem on your hands. You're likely to lose all your hives. So you can see why it's important not to get American foul brood. Like I've said in many of my videos, you have to, in Illinois, you have to burn your bees and your boxes and everything. You're out. You're out. I mean, it's over, right? So to prevent that, probably worth it. But in Illinois, we have a small percentage of American foul brood that's ever really a problem. So it is a tough thing to think about. Now, also, I want to answer this question because I saw somebody leave a comment in one of my videos and they said, oh, it's also working to reduce the deformed wing virus. And deformed wing virus, it's a virus that the viral destructor seems to be transmitting around. And so that's a problem too. Now, As far as I can tell, as of now, I can't really find any solid evidence where this is being published as effective against deformed wing virus. I've heard about it. I've heard people say it. I've heard people repeat numbers and studies, but I don't think the company, unless I'm just not up to date, and that's possible, but what the company's name is Dahlin Animal Health that has made this vaccine. And I haven't read anything yet about how this is having a reduction of deformed wing virus. I think it's promising from what I'm hearing. I think some people are saying that, yeah, that's some studies are being done and all. We have to wait and see on that, or I need to be updated. So all in all, I would never criticize anybody that wants to keep our bees healthier. However, I will say this. I know that many of you from the comments, when I made a video about why bees are dying in America, I learned a lot about a lot of you. And a lot of you have strong, passionate feelings about things. A lot of you had strong, passionate feelings about why bees are dying. And you're very convinced of your position. And that's your right. And you could be correct, who knows? But I know there are some of you who, and not just you, but all across the world and all across the US, some people are against vaccines, period. They don't like the idea of vaccines. And I think a lot of people, beekeepers especially, there is a segment of the beekeeping population, according to my comments and what I've read and what I've heard beekeepers tell me in person, they don't like the idea of their bees being tinkered with vaccinations. They think you shouldn't be playing with bees like this. And so some people just aren't feeling good about it, while other beekeepers are finally feeling good that we're making progress and trying to prevent these types of diseases. So you're going to have to decide yourself based on your own, I guess, philosophy, your own moral line that you've drawn in the sand about the animal kingdom, how you feel about a vaccine or not. It'd be interesting. I think 30 to 50%. I know when I've listened to panelists talk about it, and I've listened to other people talk about it, they're excited that 30 to 50% really plays a significant role. I mean, if somebody says, if you drink this, you'll reduce your, chances of cancer by 30 to 50%. Kind of be good to drink it. But then again, you don't know the side effects. I get it. I know. Don't leave all these comments. I know some of you just are going to just kind of like be for it. Some of you are going to be against it. You can leave the comments however you want. That's up to you. But when it comes down to it, we all have to make our own personal decision about this. I have been contacted by, I'm just going to say, many people that want me to promote this, want me to interview them, want me to talk this up, and want me to blah, blah, blah. I get a lot of, I get a lot of people that want, I'm not going to say anything more. You get it. But I've chosen not to do that because anytime you have, if I really believe in something, you're going to hear me talk about it. Do I really believe that this is a good thing? I want to wait and see a little bit. It just came out, a couple of years ago, maybe last year, a couple of years ago, 2023, I think. I kind of want to wait and see how it all pans out. Are there side effects? I kind of want to wait and see. I'm a wait and see guy. Don't get me wrong. I like the idea of making our bees healthier. I love science. I'm a certified master beekeeper with the Eastern Apicultural Society. I'm not a scientist, but I love science. And I know a lot about honeybees just from my years of experience in working with bees. I kind of want to wait and see on this. I'm not poo-pooing it. And at the same time, I just want to be sure that it's a great thing before I say it's a great thing. And I really don't know yet. It sounds good. Sounds like it would really help a lot of people that wrestle with American foul brood. However, if you've ever watched a lot of my videos, you've picked up me talking about, I had a whole video on American foul brood. In fact, I think I'll leave a link to my video on American foul brood at the end of this video. But my take on it is, I think we need to be responsible beekeepers. American foul brood is all bacteria, whether it's European foul brood or American foul brood. Look, it doesn't just develop in your colony on its own, right? It doesn't come up out of nowhere. It comes from somewhere else. Bacteria come from somewhere else. And so in the hive or in our bee yard, if we get American foul brood or European foul brood, it came from somewhere else. It came from dirty hive tools that came from an infected colony that was touched by that hive tool, dirty gloves, robber bees carrying. Let's see, American foul brood has spores, the European foul brood doesn't. It comes from the bacteria being transferred around from one place into your bees. And so if you, and that's what I advocate, as a certified master beekeeper, I say I think you should keep very clean bees and clean bee yards, clean equipment, clean hive tools, clean smoker. I even advocate many times on my channel that if you have 2 bee yards, use a different hive tool in one yard than you do the other yard. You know, when we give the tests in the field at EAS for certifying master beekeepers, we don't allow anyone to come there with old dirty gloves, old dirty hive tools. I mean, you can bring your own smoker because that's not touching, you know, the bees, but you can't bring old dirty equipment because we're using somebody else's 20 hives to run our inspection and our test, and we don't want you to bring in something that you might not know you haven't at your yard. So in other words, I personally am not going to jump on and use a vaccinated queen because right now I have the ability, I feel, to keep my yard as clean as possible. And I don't live next to a lot of beekeepers that are big time beekeepers that have had American foul brood. You get notified, by the way, by your state apiary inspectors if somebody in your area has American foul brood. They tell you. And then you can think, oh, I need to do something. I need to be aware of it. So I think in that case, you would have to consider maybe using a vaccinated queen if you're in that kind of an area. If you can tell, this is awkward, right? Yeah, this is like, how do you say yes and no at the same time? And I think the word's maybe, you know? So maybe this is good. And that's probably the best thing I can say right now. And I just feel that, you know, this is going to be the way that bees go in the future. We're going to keep making improvements. We've made a lot of improvements with honeybees, and we're going to see this come to light, maybe in not just with American foul brood, but other things. Oh, and I wanted to say this. I should have said this earlier too. It doesn't do anything much. I mean, it does. It's a transgenerational immune primer. So it seems like it does kind of make the bees a little bit more immune maybe to stuff. But on the other hand, it isn't labeled as that. It isn't, I don't see any proof yet that it's going to get rid of mites. Okay. So a lot of people think, oh, vaccinated queens against mites, vaccinated queens against other diseases and other pests, no more small hive beetle. It's not that at all. So it's really targeted against one thing that may not be something that you're wrestling with. Here is a video on American foul brood. You need to know it because you could get it, and it is a very deadly brood disease, a bacteria that you don't want to get. Check it out right here. I'll see you guys over in this video.